Good evening, good evening. The first ever Bold Live. It's not my first ever live because we do it most weeks anyway, but the first ever Bold Live over on this channel. Hopefully we get some people in, otherwise, Michelle, it's just going to be us chatting. But let's see who we have so far, and then I'll get you to do a bit of an introduction to yourself. So we've got RS, and I was saying to Michelle beforehand, I always think your name is Robin, but in the back of my head, I think it's Ruth. So can you just confirm it is Robin, isn't it? Because I don't want to call you RS every week because you're one of the regulars. We've got Pick Me Up Lucky. I see on your Instagram, you guys are doing a bit of a collab. Let's kick things off, Michelle. Why don't you introduce yourself to the lovely people who may not know you? Talk a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you come from, all the normal stuff.
So I'm Shell Resells. So I sell. So I've been full time. I've been a seller for over 15 years online. But I went full time. I think similar to you, James. I went full time in 2020. Pandemic days is when I called it. And yeah, basically I was on eBay and Depop for all of those years. And then Poshmark launched, and some people may be like me, and literally we've been waiting and counting the days down for Poshmark to come to the UK. And as soon as it was here, I was like, see you later, Depop. And I put all of that energy into Poshmark, and yeah, so that's kind of like where I'm at. I think people know Poshmark is still in the early stages, but Poshmark do live sales. It's quite a new feature, and obviously in America they also have Poshmark Lives. They have Whatnot, and I know Whatnot kind of is here in the UK, but it's not really for everyone. So yeah, it's super exciting. The live selling is something else. Like you can literally I can get a box of inventory come to my door. If I wanted to, I could open the box on a live show and sell all of that inventory and ship it the next day. It's mind blowing. It's a completely different business model. But yeah, obviously, I'm still like heavily in eBay. But yeah, it's turned my head.
Absolutely. So I was right. It is Robin. So I'm not going to forget that now. It's definitely Robin. Luxury Pickers are in. They're stalking you as normal. Although it's my channel, I get the high James second. So we know who the Luxury Pickers are fangirling at the moment with regards to yourself. But so let's talk a little bit then, because I know we had a quick chat just beforehand about the whole thing about, do you see your business now as a brand? And the reason I wanted to bring this topic up tonight is because when I first started eBay, I saw it just as that. I'm James. My store's called Bold Finds. I sell on eBay, and that is it. Since I've started to do YouTube, and I've started to do some other things with regards to that, with the whole Bold Finds and now Bold Lives, etc., I kind of see my business now as more than just eBay, and I've got other arms to the business. So when you look at the way you do things, how do you kind of see yourself now as a brand with regards to the whole package, with regards to Posh? Now you do YouTube as well. We'll show your channel in a minute, and Instagram and all the rest of it. So do you now see yourself as more of a brand?
Yeah, so I think this is where we may differ slightly. So I, for many years, basically, so my store name is Fox Black. So I'm on Poshmark as Fox Black, I'm on eBay as Fox Black, and I was on Depop as Fox Black. And that originally, so that was a brand, and that originally came because I was doing white label. So basically I was importing stock, unbranded stock, and basically I was branding it as Fox Black. I've since moved away from that, but the kind of that like brand has stuck with me. And like now, like if I jump on like a Poshmark show, people will be like, oh, hey, Fox Black. So that kind of is a brand, and I have a separate page, but it is a business page. So it is basically, here's the stock, here's my show. It's a lot more professional. Whereas my Shell Resells, that is more about reselling. So this may change because obviously I'm quite new to YouTube, and I think we had a brief conversation about it, James. Whereas where do I see, should I bring the brands, you know, Fox Black, is that the brand? Am I the face behind the brand? And I think at the moment I am the face behind the brand. But yeah, in terms of kind of how like maybe my Instagram and my YouTube might grow, I don't know, will that become a separate brand, or am I just the entity behind the brand? I'm not exactly sure at the moment.
Yeah, and I know when you kind of gave me the heads up that you were thinking about starting a YouTube channel, which is all very exciting. By the way, if anyone doesn't follow Michelle, please go and follow Shell Resells. It's her name there at the bottom, and it's going across the ticker. But I know when we were speaking about the YouTube channel, I know it was in the Daily Refinement social media call. You kind of asked a question to myself, Mel, I know Tech was in there at the time as well, kind of putting out there to say, look, I'm thinking about doing this, but do I do it as Fox Black? And I think we all kind of said, well, not many people will know at this stage who Fox Black is. And it's not linked to reselling. You know, a lot of these YouTube channels that pop up now have things such as, you know, we've got the luxury pickers in here. We've got Mia's Bold Finds. You've got other resales and sales, etc. So did that kind of play a part why you didn't call your YouTube channel Fox Black? Do you kind of feel like you want people to find you quite easily and know exactly what you're all about?
Yeah, I think what it is. So my Instagram, the Shell Resells Instagram, I've had for many years, and I wasn't very active on it. If I'm honest, I just used to sit on the sidelines. I think I didn't used to have the confidence to like believe in myself and what I was doing, really, to like put myself out there. So that's always been that. And then as I've kind of now gradually started posting on it, that is me. So kind of the rants and the stupid stuff, like that's me. It's not necessarily my business, but then now with the Poshmark lives, it is interlinking because people will come to my lives and obviously they're getting me. So yeah, I find it a little bit tricky. But yeah, I think for people who aren't interested in me and they just want the stuff, they just like the clothes I sell, they just want the shoes, they don't care about who it is who's selling it, because there's some people who's like that. Then yeah, I think maybe having it separate is good.
Yeah, it works for you, kind of having that separate part, as you say. So you've got the people who want to watch your journey and what you're doing behind the scenes in that way with the YouTube side, and then you've got your business side where the people don't care about you being a YouTuber or don't care about your Instagram and what you're getting up to in the day, and sometimes posting funny videos by mistake and then having to message me saying, I can't believe I've just done that. But we won't talk about that. I'm not going to call you out in the live about that. Just want to say a few hello. So Ian's in. So this is Ian I was telling you about, Michelle, who met me on Saturday in the high street down the road from me. And it was so... Yeah, it was so, yeah, and Ian, and shout out to Ian, he brought me a couple of coffees, which will come in handy this weekend because I am knackered. But it was so funny because I went Instagram live and just talking about no car boot sales on. I was going to have a lie in. I'm awake. I'm going to go down the charity shop. Let's see what we can find. And I was walking back to my regular charity shop, and this was outside of town. And Ian literally crossed the road, and I was kind of AirPods in my own zone, bit of music on. And I see from the corner of the eye, you know, when someone's walking towards you, you can kind of see it. And I'm thinking, like, oh, is this guy going to attack me here? Like, what's going on? And then he said, oh, is it James? And I was like, yeah. And then I said to him, I'm not being rude, but I need to say, like, who are you? Do I know you from, like, life or from YouTube? And he introduced himself. And, yeah, fair play to him. We went around the charity shops together. I took him to the garages and showed him the death pile. And, yeah, he was kind enough to buy me a couple of coffees. So thank you, Ian. Thanks for coming in.
Is Ian a reseller or is he just a fan?
Yeah, Ian is a reseller. He was saying to me that he doesn't need to do it like as intensely as we do, kind of thing. He does it more on the side now. He doesn't necessarily need to earn the money from it as such, but he enjoys doing it. So it's not as intense as we are. But Ian's been speaking to Mel back from Burnout for years as well. Nice. So he knows Mel and stuff. So yeah, he's it's funny because he was saying about, I said, you know, you should have messaged me on Instagram and said, where are you in town? And he was saying, oh, well, you're a big celebrity. You know, I feel nervous. I was like, no, we're not big celebrities. All we do is we film what we do. We're no different to anyone else. We just put it out there and film what we do. That's all. Coco's Closet Collections is in. Hello, hello. Yeah, luxury pickers are saying #1 fans. They're talking about you, obviously. You become the brand. You brand yourself as a reseller and become known as that, as opposed to the store name. Yeah, absolutely. I think you do. I think it doesn't really matter what you are called. At the end of the day, you can have any name you want. It's all about you. There we are. I thought James was going to punch my lights out. Well, it was going to get to that stage. No, I'm not like that. I always say to people, if you do see me out and about, please just come and say hello. But then don't be offended if I don't know who you are, because everyone sees what we look like on YouTube. Most people, we don't have a clue what they look like. And you're going to get this from time to time. You're going to be in the most random places and people are going to say, Michelle, and you're going to be like, hi, do I know you from, like, where do I know you? So, let's talk about something I know you are super passionate about, because in the nicest way possible, all I ever hear you speak about is Poshmark. And I know you're trying to convince me to come to the dark side and set things up. And I know we've had conversations about my plans for Poshmark in the future, potentially. What was it that got you into Poshmark? Because I know when we first met and we were speaking, it was eBay. Posh wasn't even a thing. And it suddenly kind of appeared. And yourself, and I think there was 5 or 6 others, kind of got into it, kind of grandfathered in. I think it might have been from someone in Australia, potentially, if I remember right, from the group going back. So, yeah, talk to us about your journey on Posh and what was it that kind of got you hooked? Because you are, I know they call them Posh ambassadors, but you are, in my eyes, a UK ambassador for Posh as a platform.
Yeah, well, I think what it is because we know a lot of US sellers, don't we? So it's always been in the back of my mind that it's been a major platform in America. And I've had so many conversations with people, and like literally I've just been waiting for it to come over, because I think in America, I don't know if there's anyone in America in the chat there, maybe they'll correct me, but I think in America it's almost a rival for eBay. I'm not saying it has the same traffic as eBay, but we know people, James, who their main platform, what they earn a full-time living off, is Poshmark, and they will cross-list to eBay. Which,
well, you can look at. I was going to say, you can look at Chris Lynn right now, because Chris doesn't sell on eBay anymore, and he shares his Poshmark stats within the group, and he is absolutely smashing that. That alongside what's the other, Whatnot, isn't it? He kind of uses them 2 platforms, the main 2. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so basically I've just been waiting for it to come along, and as I say, I was selling on Depop, and Depop did me well. I can't even remember, I had the blue tick, which it's kind of like an ambassador like situation. I had that on Depop, but I don't know, I just didn't vibe with it. I think it's a lot younger like audience on there, and it'll be like every other message was like, oh hey, can you send a picture of this on, which is another thing, because I did actually used to do that, as you know. But yeah, I don't know, I just didn't love it. And then when Poshmark came, so yeah, we got, there was a few of us from the group who got put forward, and we got in, and it was an ambassador, and there was, I want to say, someone will probably correct me, maybe 100, maybe 300. I think there was 300 original ambassadors, and we were in the beta program. And it was, you know, it was hard going. So we were listing, and they made it really fun and interactive. Like they did all of these like challenges and like things. And then yeah, at the end of beta, you know, we got ambassador if you ticked off the certain things. And then it was still pretty slow. And then so all the while I did actually have a chat with the luxury pickers, like while all of the slowness was happening. And it was, you know, just chip on, just carry on, just chip on, just chip on. Like good things come to those who wait. And I chipped on and chipped on and chipped on. And then the promo codes went live, and it was unannounced. It was just random. One day they secretly announced the promo codes, the referral codes, and it went mad. So I know it was a one-off, but in the first day that Posh launched, I did more sales in one day on Poshmark than I ever had done before. So for that one day alone, almost made it worthwhile. And then I was like, you know, then you're on a high, aren't you? You're like, this is amazing. And then, yeah, just basically kept at it. And then they kind of teased that the lives were coming. And as I say, for me as a clothing seller, there is nothing like that here. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to give this a try. And then, yeah, they launched it, and it's just amazing. Like, as I say, it's completely different. You know, there's no photos, there's no listings. Yeah, it's not for everyone, but if you're comfortable of getting in front of a camera and just chatting and talking about products, and again, it all depends, I guess, like on your cost of goods and all of this and your processes. But for me, I can make it fit in my processes and I can make it work. And again, I feel as like it's only going to grow and grow and grow, because at the moment, they still technically haven't hard launched it. Like, you don't see adverts on telly for Poshmark yet. You don't see adverts on the end of YouTube videos. Like, so they've got something up their sleeve. I think they're trying to just get all of the features. So this co-host thing, basically, it's where so I'm here on video, and then I co-host with you, and here you are. You're now on video, and I can sell my item. You can sell your item. It's just one stream. So this is what me and Mark are going to give a go on Sunday and see how it works. But again, this is a feature they've only just brought in. So I think maybe they're just trying to get all of the features in and fully working, and then maybe the wider audience will come.
I think they're launching it in, and I'll go back to Benji's question in a minute, but I think they are launching it in the correct way, where I remember when the promo code came out, and you were saying to me, like, James, if you want to sign up, £20 promo code. And I was like, no, it's all right. And I signed up the day after, because I think it was for about 24 hours, it was the £20. And then I think they realised, oh my God, we're giving away so much money here, and everyone's taken us up on it, and they dropped it down to £5. So I missed out on that. But I remember you saying, the £20 promo codes with people using that to shop, it was just crazy. And I know a lot of people were saying where they couldn't keep up. I know it had some issues at first with postage labels and stuff. So I think they are doing it in the right way, where they're not kind of putting it out there with the adverts and shouting about it from the rooftops until they have nailed it down, because all that's going to do is turn loads of people off. And I know you mentioned it earlier, but Depop, I think, has gone down that route where I see a lot of people now leaving Depop. I mean, Jamie Sully's Vintage, he was like one of the highest Depop sellers, and he completely closed it down and moved all of his stuff to eBay, because he saw, similar to what you were saying there, it was kind of to disappear. So I don't see Depop being around that long now that Posh is coming. I think when Posh launches fully, I think a lot of people might make the switch across. So I think you doing it at the early stage is always going to give you the edge over anyone who's coming in now, you know, to do it. So, so Benji's got a question for you. Michelle, how long did it take you to scale to the point you're now? And how did you go about building the contact for your stock? So obviously you're not going to tell us where you get your stock from, rightly so. But yeah, how long did it take you to scale? And what do you think you have done differently? Because you've been in the group now. How long have you been in the Daily Refinement group for? A year?
I joined in January.
So January, so not even a year yet. So yeah, so talk about your scale and what you've changed and how you've scaled to get to where you are.
So I'm not quite finished scaling yet. So work in progress. But my kind of, it's a boring story, but I'll tell you it. So I started selling like about 15 years ago, and I actually started off as a maker. So I would make jewelry. Just like cheap costume jewelry, and I would sell that. And I actually did that for about 3 years, and it was amazing because everything fitted in one tiny box, and it just slid under my bed, and everything went out in like little tiny flat boxes. It was amazing. But I realized I wasn't making any money from it, and I'd get an order and I'd actually have to sit and make it. So I was like, oh no. So then I went down the original route, what I guess like a lot of people do, selling stuff from the house. And then I started going to like charity shops, car booths. And then I then started, so I was very part-time. And then I started like kind of trying to like get some suppliers. So I was like going and like making contacts with like auction houses, and then like online, like even through eBay itself. And then I would basically buy stock, sell it, and that one. And then when the beginning of 2020, so just before pandemic, I made a connection with a really good supplier. And that was part of the reason why I actually made the jump. So obviously we were all working from home, which the main reason I didn't want to leave employment was because I liked having colleagues and I liked having the thing of going to work. But when that was taken away from me, I thought, what is the point? I'm basically working from home by myself for somebody else. I might as well do all of that for myself. So that was when I made the jump. And then basically I literally was just work. And then I went back registered. And then I know we've spoken about this, James. So basically when you go VAT registered, you can't just go VAT registered and then just hover around where you are, because in that respect, you're losing money because you're then having to pay VAT. So you kind of need to make a lot more money to cover it, which is the tricky thing. So I went VAT registered because that's where I was. It wasn't really like an active choice. It was just, I was like, right, let's sit down, let's look at my numbers. And I was like, whoa, I need to sort this out before I get shut down by eBay. So I went VAT registered, and then I was VAT registered and I was, really, really trying hard for about a year. And then I reviewed all of my numbers and stuff, and I was like, whoa, I shouldn't have gone VAT registered. Like I should have planned for this. I should have stayed under. Like this is a mess. And then I kind of so before Q4 last year, I'd made the decision that come January, I was going to deregister from VAT and basically work less and sit under. And then Q4 comes, and Q4 in my business is always really good. So Q4 came, and then obviously I got all like kind of woohoo. So then January came, and I was like, I don't want to deregister from VAT. Like I like this. I like having all of these sales and all of this money coming in. So then I knew about the group for ages. I followed Chris on YouTube for years and years and years, like literally since 10K on the Bay, like those days. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was like, and I think at the time I was following you, James, and you were talking about it a lot. And I was like, I need to give this a go. I need to give this group a go, and I need to give it 6 months. And if I can't grow my business, then I deregister from VAT. If I can grow my business, then great. So that's what I did. And yeah, basically, there is no way, Jose, I'm deregistering from VAT. We're currently in talks, me and my accountant, he is trying to get me to go limited, which again is a bit of a step up from VAT. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. But yeah, at the moment, I'm still scaling. So I'm currently at 15 a day, like sending live. So every single day, Monday to Sunday, I get 15. If I go on holiday, 15 are there, they're ready to go. So I have to have a pretty big draft bank. And yeah, the plan is in September when schools go back, I am going to go up to, I'd gradually like to go up to 20 a day. And then obviously, it's all there, isn't it, in the numbers? The more you list, for me, I'm getting a very similar level of stock. So it is a case for me of the more I list, the more I'll sell. So that's where I'm at.
I've got a massive question for you, and the question that I get asked a lot now. I mean, you know my story, and everyone who follows my channel knows my story about an everything seller who is making the transition to a clothing seller, and in January it's full-time clothing seller. Why clothing for you? Did you have a passion for clothing, a passion for fashion, or is it more of a case of, like we all speak about in the group, you can find clothing anywhere? So what was your reason to go to clothing instead of maybe trainers or, I don't know, TVs, wherever it is?
So when I first, so as I say, I used to make jewelry. That was that. And then the clothing was just because I was selling out my own stuff. And clothing was just easy to find. And kind of almost when you're like starting out, you kind of know brands, like just from wearing clothes yourself, you kind of know brands. So it wasn't like I didn't have to spend hours researching. And then actually in 2020, when I went full time, I actually niched into beauty and cosmetics, and that was amazing. But what I find was there is a lot of fakes, and as good as I thought I was in spotting the fakes, and my suppliers, I really did, like, they were trustworthy. I got a couple of zeros. So there's some brands, I mean, I'm sure it's the same for clothing, but beauty brands are on it. So there is at least 3 beauty brands that I know, like, straight off, where it doesn't matter if it's fake or genuine, you can't sell that brand on eBay. And obviously the thing is, generally you don't know about it until you get hit with the zero. Yeah. So I went through a period where I think I got about 3 zeros in a month, and it was around the time when Chris had just been removed from eBay.
We can say it, when Chris was kicked off eBay.
Yeah. So I remember I was actually tiling my bathroom, right? This is pure dramatic. So I was actually like kind of tiling my bathroom, and I was listening to Chris's video where he spoke about it, and it was him and Ted were talking about it. And then in the back of my mind, I was panicking about these zeros. And literally, I just said to myself, I don't love selling clothes, but for me, I either go back to selling clothes or I prepare to go back and get a regular job. Mm-hmm. That was the choice for me, because I was like, they restricted my account, I think, for 5 days. So after that, there's not many more steps. I think they then restrict you maybe for 2 weeks, and then you're off.
Yeah, I think there's a couple more steps, and then it's literally booted off. And that's if they're being nice in a way. That's if they're being sort of lenient. If they're not being lenient, it's straight off.
Yeah. So yeah, basically that was for me. I was like, I can't continue selling what I'm selling. Like, my business isn't safe, and that was the decision.
I just want to say hello to Richard, and also a reseller's blueprint as well. We've got another question from Benji. Does limited not mean if you were already VAT registered, it would be better tax-wise for you?
Not necessarily, because you could be VAT registered. So I could be VAT registered, but I could maybe only earn, it all depends on your cost of goods, because your VAT is to do with turnover. So I don't think it's a secret. So to be VAT registered, basically you're turning over 85,000 a year. My cost of goods could be 84,000 per year, and I could only make £1,000 profit per year, which I know that is a ridiculous example, but if I'm making £1,000 profit a year, then you don't need to be a limited company. But I'm not an accountant.
I was about to disclaim that on my channel before we get shut down. Speak to an accountant. That's the best way. And I know a lot of people kind of say, I could do it without an accountant. For me, I had to get an accountant the moment I decided to do this as a business, because I don't want the stress of numbers. I don't want the stress of feeling like, oh, I'm close to it. A good accountant should tell you. Now, I know we've had a few instances in the group where the accountant hasn't told them, but it's also your responsibility to make sure you know where you are with your numbers, to make sure you know the time when it is to register for VAT. So you're not left in the lurch with them emails that come through that basically says, if we don't get your number in the next month, we're shutting you down until we get your number. Because at the moment, some people have waited 2-3 months for that number to come through. So speak to your accountant on that as well. So my next question pivots on slightly, and we spoke to it about it a bit earlier. So I first met you in person in Cardiff when we went to the eBay Roadshow, and I was there with my GoPro doing some vlogging, and I said to you, Michelle, when are you going to come on my channel for a live chat? And I don't know if you remember your response, but your response was like, no, I don't want to do the whole YouTube thing. I don't want to be like on a live. I don't want to do it. It's not me. And now you have started your own YouTube channel, and you're my first guest on the secondary channel. What changed, Michelle? What actually made you feel like, do you know what? I want to kind of share my journey with people, share some experience, share some knowledge, some tips. What was it for you? Because tell me if I'm wrong, but I think part of that is you gaining more confidence doing the Posh Lives.
Yeah, 100%. So I think what it was is, it's partly like how far I've come in the past 8 months, like from in my business. So it's partly that, like, basically I now have the confidence in myself that actually, and for many years I like kind of was maybe a bit embarrassed to tell people what I did, and like it was a bit like shameful. And actually, do you know what? In the past 6 months, like, I don't care. People say, and like I always used to be like, oh, people like, oh, the mums on the school run, they think that I don't work, they think I just sit at home. And now people go, what do you do? And I'm like, I've got my own company, like I work for myself. And they're like, oh, what do you sell? And I'm like, women's clothing, like, you know. And yeah, it's just that confidence. And I think having so basically I'm confident in my business. And then yeah, with the posh side of things, like I went and spoke at like an event in Shoreditch, and basically there was me, and then there was the luxury pickers, and then there was Chaddy, Pete and Lola. And I was a bit like, whoa, like, are you sure you want to ask me? And then I went, and like it was fine, and everyone there was so nice, and people were coming up to me like, Shell, and like a bit like kind of what you said, and I was a bit like, do I know you? And yeah, it was just so nice. And like people were coming up to me and they were like, oh, can you give me any advice? Like, oh, I'm a bit stuck on sourcing. Like, what would you like recommend? Any tips? And like, so it was just so nice. And then obviously doing the lives, and then basically this sounds like, this probably sounds a bit sad, but so I'm quite creative. I've always been creative. I studied basically theatre and drama, so I'm kind of like quite, you know, and then doing the lives, like I was doing like the little like screensaver things like on Canva where you advertise your show. And then I was like trying to think, like brainstorming like ideas, like what can I do to make my shows a little bit different and like draw people in. And then all of that, it like really got me like kind of thinking. And I was thinking like, this is the first time in ages from a business point of view, I've like been able to put my creativity to use. And then obviously I've seen like you and quite extra, you know, and then just like kind of seeing people on YouTube, and then I would always like watch people's videos and think, wow, wouldn't it be good if they done this video? Like I've said it to you, James. Like, James, why don't you do this? And then I just thought, well, why aren't I doing it? Like, I don't care what people think anymore. Like, what are people going to, if someone in real life sees me, like, I mean, how would they ever find me anyway? But I'm what? Like, I'll be like, well, it's my business and that's it. And yeah, just like the creativity side, like just being able to sit and brainstorm and come up with ideas, and like, just, you know, if I want to come on and do like a little short and sing and dance, like I can. I know you don't really like that, do you, James?
I didn't like a video I spoke to you about. No, it's just not for me. I was speaking to someone about this morning, and my personality is not to come on at the start of my YouTube videos and go like, yeah, hi everyone, welcome back, this is amazing. You won't guess what kind of, like, because then when you meet me in person and you come up to me and you say, hi James, and I'm like, you're right, you'll be like, hold on a second, this is not the guy from YouTube. So I'm very much like, the thing I get from a lot of people, and if Ian's still in it, hopefully he says the same, and you've met me in person, what you see on my YouTube is who I am in real life. And I've met other people, I'm not going to name names, but I've met other people where I think to myself, you're not like this. Like, I've seen you on YouTube and you're like this, and then when I met you in person, you're not like this. And that might be just people feel a bit more confident about not being in them sort of social situations, and on camera they're completely different, and that's fine. But for me, I can't be, as you was called there, quite extra. I can't be like that. But your personality is that. You're very outgoing. And I know when you said to me about, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel, what do you think? I said to you, you would absolutely smash it because you have the personality for YouTube. You're very likable in that sense. You've got a good personality. You're quite upbeat as well a lot of the time. And yeah, we all have a rant, we all have a moan, but you're quite a positive person. And that comes across on YouTube as well. So it's always interesting to see when people kind of get the thing to start a channel. And I think you said it clearly there, you don't care anymore. And I think that's about, you don't care anymore about people knowing you're a reseller. And I think a lot of people are scared to tell people they're a reseller because they feel that people are going to judge them. Like, oh, what, you buy other people's dirty old clothes and that's what you sell? Oh, I wouldn't do that. Where actually being a reseller, it's more well known now, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe because we're in it, but I think a lot of people now know a lot more about reselling could be and is a full-time job. And I don't know about yourself, but I earn a lot more now doing this and YouTube than I did as a recruitment manager for a company.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you get the flexibility. You work from home, you set your own times, and actually it's pretty fun. I know we all moan about eBay and when eBay's slow and all the rest of it, but overall it's a pretty fun thing. Simon's in, and I'm not very happy with this comment because he put two of my favorite people. We are your two favorite people. So not two off. We are the two favorite people. Shout out to Simon. Simon done his second video on his channel today as well. So please go and sub over to Simon as well. And what I will say about Simon, what a just a down-to-earth, lovely bloke. And I know you've met him. I've met him in person a couple of times. You've met him in person a couple of times. Talk about the Poshmark event, because Simon doesn't do Poshmark. So talk about that. So he turned up and he had a few drinks.
He did, but it was so nice. So there was Kate. You know Kate. I don't know if many people will know Kate, but I want to say like Kate resells. You definitely should know that on Instagram. But yeah, so Kate came, and then Simon came up, and it was it was a nice day. Mark was there, picked me up lucky. Luxury pickers were there, and who else?
Just seeing anyone else in the chat who I know does posh.
Like the events what Poshmark do are so nice because it's just they're quite chill and like they have stuff to do. So it's not kind of like you're going and then you're like just in a room and then you're like, what do I do? Who do I talk to? Because there's like little things set up and like talks, and like on the Shoreditch one, there was like little crafty things you could do, and it's all free of charge. And even if you don't do Poshmark, they don't care. They just want you to come and basically just be in the environment. And it's so nice. I met a gal there. I met a couple of gals there. There's one who she lives not too far from me, and then there's another girl called Holly. And I was like, I seen her on Instagram, and she had this like ribbon in her hair. And then I seen at the event, I seen the ribbon in her hair, and I shouted at her, and she was like, and she was all like made up, like come over. It's so nice, honestly.
There we are. Was my first time meeting anyone, and was so chill. I was people were great. I said to Michelle, I was a little bit gutted because I know during the week of the event, Michelle, Kate, and Simon were all saying to me like, just come to it. And I was like, no, I can't. To be fair, I think it was a Thursday. But I did say next posh event I'm happy to go to, and I'm happy to come and just listen and just find out and just to meet people as well, because I think these social events are good just to kind of get out there and meet other people who are in the same boat as you. I know when we went to the event in Cardiff, the actual eBay Open was terrible. Let's not kid ourselves. But it was still nice to actually meet up with people from the group, people you speak to like on a Zoom on a daily basis, to actually just go and spend a bit of time with them. And that's what I'm looking forward to, the other eBay event next month. You're going to the Manchester one, aren't you?
No. James,
are you going to London?
You don't know where I live, do you?
Yeah, but do you know why? It's because you sound like you live in Liverpool, and I know you don't live in Liverpool. But are you coming to London then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect. We need to.
Simon.
We need to. We got Luke, Simon, me, you, Kate. Is Kate coming? Kate, and there'll be more people I've missed. But if anyone's coming to the eBay, it's the eBay Open. That's what it's called, isn't it? The last one was Roadshow. Yeah, so eBay Open. If anyone's coming along, please come and have a drink with us, have a chat with us. You know, we're not scary people. They are luxury pickers. James, if you're not there, we'll be disappointed, not angry, disappointed. No, I've already said to Michelle, 100% the next posh event I'm going to come to. Even if it is a Thursday, I can jiggle a few things around for call-wise in the group. But I need to come to one just to meet some familiar faces, you know, because I speak to a lot of people over Instagram, and sometimes just putting a face to the name is really cool as well.
It's a completely different vibe to the eBay event. Like it's so much more chill and like everyone's there just actually really just to talk to each other.
Yeah, the eBay. I don't know.
The
How would you
eBay is
describe?
more
I
like
tell you what. How would you describe
in
the
the room.
eBay event we went to? I'm going to let you describe it because I've logged it. I talked about it. How would you describe that eBay event in your honest opinion?
It was very corporate and very like beginner friendly. Although I have, in fairness, right, I've looked at the agenda for the one next month, and it seems like they have 3 different rooms with 3 like maybe I don't know if they're aimed at like different like skill levels, but I remember thinking, yeah, this is a lot more kind of what we want to know. Like I think it was to do with like I can't remember, but maybe it was something to do with like traffic and impressions and stuff like that, which is more obviously that's like a lot more in depth eBay. So yeah, I think that this one, I think it will still be very corporate. Like you go into a room and you sit and you listen to someone talking at you. Whereas yeah, the Poshmark events, they're more about just go, mingle, have a drink, and then the staff are there and the staff will come over to you and engage in conversation on a one-to-one level, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think that's what I found with the event. I mean, I found it for our level of being. I think it's great for a new reseller. If you're brand new into reselling, I recommend going to any of the eBay events. So this was the roadshow, which is kind of like the watered down version. It felt like, but that's the thing I struggled with the most. I felt like the eBay staff there, you couldn't really get an answer from them. It was very much a case you'd ask a question, they would kind of give you a sort of on the fence answer. You know, not too sure, not too sure. When I go to these events, I want to speak to the eBay staff who are going to say, like, this is our plans for the future. This is what we have coming out. You know, I mean, Simon's saying there, Poshmark event's so much better. Also, free beer. Yeah, we know you had free beer, Simon. I think you had a few free beers that night. But yeah, 100% I'll be coming to the next Posh event to meet up with you guys and stuff as well.
Can I just say as well, like if anyone is watching, so one thing that actually was a real bonus for me from that eBay event, which thanks to some people who we chat to, I knew about in advance, is if you talk to the right people and like maybe try and book into like a one-to-one session, there could be opportunities there where eBay will work with you. So I got put on the startup scale up program, and I think there is a couple of different like levels of program, which I think maybe they are changing things up at the moment. But for me, I got in on the startup scale up, and then there was like a thing where you could apply for a grant afterwards if you've been to the event. Now I did that and I didn't get the grant, but basically I won a support package, which gets me basically a package with a rep for a year. And again, it's similar to what we're saying. Like a lot of what the rep is saying, you know, we kind of know. We know that they want us to have a white background. We know they want us to do keywords and item specifics and stuff like that. But it also got me on, so now like they'll include me in certain promotions they're doing. So like eBay's own promotions, what you see when you go to ebay like .co.uk and there's the banners at the top and it's like 20% off fashion. If you click in that, like I'm in there, not all the time, but some like probably like 1 or 2 a month. So it's things like that which just give your store a boost. And then like certain like shop level like subscriptions and things like that. And then I got access to OptiSeller, which to be honest I haven't actually even looked into. But you know, it's kind of worth networking and just putting yourself out there because it could help your business.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to say. Always at these events, put yourself out there. I know it's difficult, and I know if you're an introverted person, it might be difficult for you to go up and have a chat with someone from eBay. But this is an opportunity for you and your business, and kind of the one-to-ones are really cool because you get to sit down with someone. They can pull up your store, they can talk to you about what your plans are with your business and stuff. So any of these events, I always recommend to anyone book a one-to-one. Try and do it as early as you can because they get pretty booked up. I know at our event they had a few free slots available, but if you can secure a one-to-one slot, you're going to be in a better position scrambling around like a lot of people get to book. So yeah, great advice. If you can book onto one, definitely
They
do so.
called me. I think they called a few of us about 2 or 3 days before the event. they called saying, would you like a one-to-one? So yeah, I think it's like that 0345 number it comes through on. So if you are going and you want one, just keep an eye out, answer the phone.
Yeah, that's what happened. I think that happened to about 3 or 4 of us, actually. I think a couple of people have said, "Oh, I've been called up and got a slot," and I think it was the day after the rest of us got called and we all booked slots in as well. So it's definitely worth doing. So if we think about you now, Michelle, so where do you find the hours? Maybe that's the question I want to ask you outright for people here, because similar to me, I explained to you about my day to day, and with life and eBay and YouTube and all the rest of the stuff I do with the calls in the group, etc. It's very hard to find the balance and find the time. Where do you find your hours? Because you've obviously got the family side as well, and you need to kind of make sure you keep that side going strong and you do your business. And now you're doing YouTube, which I don't know if you've realized already, but it takes a bit of time for the YouTube side as well. So how do you balance that? And where's your kind of hard cutoff in your business life?
So to be honest, right, this is the one thing that I struggle with the most is, so I would say moving everything from, so this white box room I'm in now, this is actually like a garden cabin and it's empty at the moment. So this used to be my office. So I would work from here, my desk, my printer. I would basically just store stuff off site. I think a bit like you do, James. So I would store stuff off site. I would go and pick the stuff and I would bring it back here and basically process it. And then kind of all of the work would happen from here. And then, so if I was getting like items delivered, or if I was getting stock or anything like that, or like just like packaging supplies, everything would come here. So I'd always have stuff everywhere in the house, and I could never like properly switch off. And then since moving basically everything to the one space, so it's like I've got like kind of a mini warehouse with a little office attached. Then the office has got my desk for basically like listings, my computer, my packaging area, and then it's got my various like photo like setups what I have. All the stuff gets delivered down there. If I need to take stuff to be like, I don't want to like take some stock and get it processed, it all goes there straight away. So that has helped a little bit, but it's just, I find it's like a hamster wheel because you never want to stop, especially while like I'm still wanting to grow. Like I think when the point comes where, I mean, this is also the thing, when does the point come when you think this is enough? Because when, like, you know, do you put a monetary value on it? Do you put hours on it? And yeah, this is what I struggle with. So I pretty much will, so in the mornings, so getting up early, which I have been a bit slack with, getting up early before the rest of the house wakes up and getting 2 hours work done, that for me is a massive hack. Because basically I could get my listings done for the day and then get up, then do kind of childcare, school run, breakfast, all of that. And then go down to my office, do the packaging, and then prep, and then photos for the following day. And that's the routine that I like really like enjoy, and that's I find like really productive. But at the moment with school holidays, everything's all a bit of a mess. So now I'm finding I'm working every evening and kind of like juggling between stopping to like go play or go do this club or like whatever. So it's a bit of a juggle, and yeah, it is the one thing that I do need to improve on. But what I will say, I am quite good at weekends. So Saturdays, I always schedule everything's, all my listings are always scheduled in advance, and I do enough listings on a Monday to Friday that will cover me for the weekends. So I never do any listings or photographs or anything like on the weekends. Sunday nights I do my packaging and then I do my posh show. But Saturdays I don't do anything. Obviously I'm still on my phone. You get an offer, you get a question, like I'll still do that. But for me, basically the ability to have, the weekends off is kind of enough to have to work evenings at the moment.
Yeah. I think the balance is so important. And I was having a bit of I would say a semi meltdown, not even a semi meltdown, just a bit of a rant earlier. I messaged Jamie and Luke and just said, you know what, I'm so looking forward to the next few days being away. and just kind of forgetting about eBay for 2 or 3 days. And I've got all my listings all scheduled, prepared, all ready to go. But then it clicked in my head that I'm away for 3 days, but 2 of them days I'll be going to the car boot sales because it's for the YouTube content. And when I'm away, it's the road show and the rest of it. So I kind of look at my normal week, I say, and I don't actually have any days off most weeks. So I feel like I'm always doing something. So on a Saturday, I'll go to the car boot sales, and then I come back and I might be doing the YouTube editing, and then Sunday's the same. And yeah, I might have a bit of rest in the afternoons, but then Sunday, I like to try and pack my orders in my can. So it's very hard to get that balance. And I think for me, I need to find a way to actually say every Wednesday, I don't work, and try and do it that way. So it's always interesting to see whether people have that schedule, because I think when you work for yourself, you probably notice this as well. When you make the decision to work for yourself, you kind of see it as, do you know what? This is going to be great. And I'm going to work for myself. I'll get all my stuff done. I can take the rest of the day off and chill. I find I work probably double the amount of hours now work for myself, because it's not just eBay. And this is the whole thing about the business as a brand. You know, for you, you've got your Posh show. You've got to prepare for your Posh show. You've got eBay. You've now added in YouTube. And so it quickly builds up where all of these little snippets of time quickly add up. And there we are, Simon saying there, no days off for him. I know he does his eBay and his YouTube alongside another job where he works the weekends as well. And on top of that, he took another job, another proper job as it was. He is saying happy anniversary to me and whoever Mrs. Jams is. I need to find out who that is. Yeah, but this is the whole thing about the understanding of a partner. I think not even just a partner, the understanding of the family about what you're trying to achieve is so important, because like today's our anniversary, and my day today, I've had the Aussie call this morning, live with you now. Straight after this live, we're in the UK call till 9 till 10. I do the social media call, and so you need that understanding, and it has to be that compromise. But you can only do that if your partner is willing to do the compromise. And yeah, there's another thing. The gym as well, you know, I want to get obsessed with the gym again, and then trying to fit that into everything. So I think for me, I need to probably just remanage everything. But like I said to you at the start, and this is a exclusive to the people listening here, I've also now decided to start a second YouTube channel unrelated to eBay.
So do I already know what it is?
No one knows what it is. I lie. Only 1, 2, 3 people know what it is. Two are people from the group. One's person from the group, one's someone who used to be in the group, and the other one's Leanne. But I'm not announcing the channel name because I don't want any pressure on it. So I kind of want that as my guinea pig YouTube side. But this is a completely faceless channel, and I don't have to film for it. So
have you spoke about what it could? You've mentioned stuff previously. Could it be that or not?
Yes, but okay. It's not GoPro on a cat. If that's what
it was gonna
be. But this the thing for me. I'm talking about I don't have time. I feel at the moment I feel a bit like run down, need a couple of days off. And then I think to myself, right, I'll go and start another YouTube channel. And then on top of that, I'm also in the back of my head thinking I might run another one side by side. So it's kind of like, where do you stop? And you mentioned it earlier. Where is the end goal with it?
Yeah. GoPro on a
reviewing. I'm not reviewing blue movies, although that will probably get some hits. I know that's what you want me to review. But yeah, you know what my brain's like. I speak to you all the time. I've got this Trello board full of ideas, and the GoPro on the cat will happen one day because then channels hit and they get some views. But it's all a case of like, where do you find that balance? Because where is the switch off? And I think you mentioned it earlier. Where is the end goal for you? So that's probably a good way for us to wrap up. So you're obviously doing eBay and Posh. Where do you see that going in the future? Will you always do both, or do you see Posh being 90% and eBay ticking over? Do you see it being 50-50? Where do you see it being, and where would you like it to be? Maybe that's the question.
Oh, so for the foreseeable future, I think eBay will still be the main money maker, I think. Obviously no one really knows. Like Poshmark, like themselves, like management, they have said like they are, their goal isn't necessarily to be the #1 selling platform. Their goal is to be the #1 live selling platform. So basically that's my aim. I think eventually, so when it takes off properly and it's hard launched, what I will do is I will have stock for eBay and I will have stock for Poshmark, which, to be honest, that's kind of what I do now, because in my mind, if I've already done the photos and I've already done the listing and I've already thought of the keywords and I've already sort of researched it and this is what the price should be, I don't want to waste all of that work by just flipping it in and just being like, oh, here we go. I didn't actually need to do any of that because I've got the item right here and I'm explaining it to you in person. So unless it's like as a markdown clearance strategy, I won't be doing that. I will have the separate stock. But yeah, I think eventually I would like to get to 50-50. I'd love to do it. I mean, there is a seller in America, and again, it's different because it's Whatnot. But her name's eBay Princess. She's on Instagram. The clue is in the name, eBay, yeah? She doesn't do eBay anymore. All she does is live selling on Whatnot. Like, I mean, that for me would be the dream. Like, no photos, no listings, but
just live selling.
Yeah, but I think we've got a long way before that would be a thing.
Do you ever want an employee, whether part-time or full-time? Do you know what? I'll answer it first. What you ever think? I go through a different answer every single day. I kind of constantly flip. I would love to bring Leanne into the business once we get to a certain level. And we start our family. I would love to bring her into the business because she's a private nanny. What we don't want is her to go off and look after other people's children, and then we put our child into like daycare or nursery. Well, I'd say daycare, that's proper American, nursery or whatever. So the plan would be to get Leanne in some way involved into this business. But right now, we are not financially in a position where we can do that. I'm not making enough, basically, to do that. And so I always think to myself, would I want a member of staff? And then I get my protective side to me, where I'm like, right now. But what about you? Have you kind of thought to yourself about whether you want a member of staff?
So I would never want just a random member of staff. So one of my goals, this is an exclusive.
We've had 2 exclusives tonight. Here we go.
Maybe for the next 6 months is to bring my husband in to the business. But don't you find, so just based on what you said, so don't you always find, and it's the whole thing with reselling, it's the chicken and the egg scenario. So when you're you weren't really part-time, was you, James?
I literally was made redundant and went straight full-time into it.
So I think for a lot of people, basically when you're part-time, I think a lot of people start off part-time. So it's that whole thing where you're like, well, I'm part-time and like this is how much money I'm earning, but I can't make the jump, I can't afford it. But then obviously when you do, it's like, well, all of your eggs are in this basket, so you've got to make it work. You sink or swim. And that's what I found. Like I wanted to go full time for years and years and years and years, and I was like, no, I'm not making enough. And this is the thing with bringing someone else into the business is by myself, I can't, like, as much as I would love to be able to earn money to like cover both of our wages straight away. It's just, I'm only one person. So it's the chicken and the egg. And yeah, I think we have a plan. And I think the plan would work. Like I've put the numbers, in the spreadsheets and, So I think the plan would work. But yeah, it's very daunting, isn't it?
And the truth of the matter is, you're right there. When you kind of do it, you will up everything anyway. And I think you don't realise how much having that extra pair of hands will take away. Because we spoke about it. And Leanne's role in the business would be simply doing the photographs, doing the shipping, and probably some of the customer service. which would allow me then to focus all of my attention on source and listing, as well as the content creation and the YouTube side. But I also feel like I would want us to move house before we've done that, because I would kind of want us to work in different areas. I wouldn't want Leanne working from here and us to be on each other's toes the whole time. And then we close the shed doors and then we're together for the evening. I think you need that. For me, I need that little bit of a divide to say, right, you go off and you do your bit in this section here. I'll go off and do my bit in this section here. Once you've done, we'll send the photos over wherever it may be, and then you leave me to do the listing. You carry on whatever you need to do, kind of thing. So I think you need to find a balance there. But everyone works different. You know, I know some people who work as a couple and love doing that all day, every day, and then spend all their evenings. For me, I need a little bit of James space away to be able to then enjoy the relationship outside of the working environment as well.
Yeah, we've spoke about that, because I love, like, when I'm listing, I need to list in silence. And some people find it weird, but like, I really enjoy, like, if I'm doing something, I just love doing it in silence. And my husband, he has to have noise on, like the telly, the radio, like he has to have background noise on. And this is what I've said to him, like, it's such a small, like, little thing, and it sounds really nitpicky and stupid, but for me, it's quite a big thing in like how I work. So yeah,
you say it sounds stupid, but little things like that is where problems can start to appear and cracks can start to show even in your relationship. For instance, if you need silence and he wants to play music, you argue about that every day. You know, I want music on, it helps me. Oh, it doesn't help me. So I think to do it, the split, and there we are. Big up working with your bestie. We're joined at the hip, match made in heaven. So yeah, for the luxury pickers, for them, it works perfectly because they do their YouTube together and they work together. For me, I would be a case of like, no, like leave me alone for an hour. Let me just crack on and do so. And that's the joy of it. You can make it work however you want for your situation as well, in your scenario. Before we finish off, Auction Mum saying, I feel exactly the same. And I say to people, clients all the time, I'm just one person and I don't want to take on staff. My eldest is about to start helping me with a new project as well.
Woo!
And Warder's in. Hi, Luke. Hope you're good. Luke was out sourcing this morning. So I haven't really spoke too much today, but he says, I love the thought of my partner coming in, but I think I'll try to get to a point where you're pretty much covering both salaries. Bring them in, try and double up. Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I need to be at breaking point. And I think I hit breaking point now and again. And for half a day, I feel like, oh, I'm broken. And the next day I'll come back feeling like, oh, no, I'm nowhere near broken. So I think I need to be at the point of where I'm literally saying, like, I can just about ship my orders out and the day's finished. It needs to be like at that level where I'm like, I need help. Right now, I don't need help. It would be nice to have, but it's not a need.
Yeah. I think for me as well, though, I think I would be more productive. Because, like, you know, when you have a boss, like when you are in a woman, you have a boss, you don't, like, I never used to sit on Instagram or check anything. Like, I would literally be like, no, I am here to work. And even though he would never say, like, what are you doing? Like, my husband would never say that. I still would be like, well, he's working, so I need to
pull your weight.
Yeah. And I think that in terms of that, what we were saying before about like the balance would be so much better, because literally we would both be like, this is when we work and now we're not working, and it would be the same. So we were doing even. I think I'd be more productive.
It is strange. It plays into that accountability aspect as well. And I know the days when I kind of come into the shed and say, right, no messing about, no social media, no worrying about YouTube, no looking on Instagram and watching people's stories, no listening to podcasts or watching YouTube videos. Just put on music and just list or just do my photos. There's some days I'll finish my whole day in about 2 hours. And that's 20 listings, 20 sets of photos. And I sit down and I think to myself, what am I doing the rest of my time on like a day-to-day basis? And you quickly realize, and I'd done a time audit, and I felt I was working 60, 70 hours a week in my eBay business. And when I'd done the time audit, it actually turned out I was physically working about 20 hours. And it's a real eye-opener, because you feel like all I do is work. And then when you break it down, all you do is take loads of little mini breaks that add up. And you kind of look at your day and say, oh, I got in the shed this morning at 7. I haven't left it until 6 o'clock this evening. but you can achieve so much in that time. So yeah, I recommend to anyone to do a time audit and actually figure out how much work you're actually doing. All right. Well, one final plug. Thank you for the people joining the live tonight. But one final plug for yourself. So where can people find you, Michelle, on all of your social medias? And let's plug your Posh show as well.
So I am on Instagram, at Shell Resells. I'm on YouTube at Shell Resells. And then my Poshmark, I am at Fox Black UK. And I do a show every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. And this Sunday show is extra special because for the first time, we're trying out the co-host feature. So I'll be there on video, as will Mark, aka Pick Me Up Lucky. And it's going to be a bit of a battle, like Scottish v Scouse, menswear v women's wear. And I mean, you know Mark, yeah? You know Mark?
Mark. I prefer Mark to you. I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to say it live here. I prefer Mark. Mark, I hope you're still in, mate. I prefer Mark to you. Mark's Posh. I like your Posh shows, and you know I've said to you many a time, I will watch your Posh show, and I feel invested because it's interesting. And I'm like, I don't need to buy any of this makeup and stuff. I don't need to buy Claire's accessories, which, by the way, Leanne took to her work, and they absolutely loved them. So all the Claire's accessory stuff I've not touched. Gave the whole box to Leanne, she took it to work, so that was good. But the live shows are interesting because you watch the people you like watching, and you want to support their business. You want to support them actually taking the time to do the lives. But what I will say is Mark's live, when I joined, he was playing like club music. He was dancing around in his kilt. You cannot compete with that.
No.
So I will be Team Mark this Sunday.
Oh, wow. But anyway, that's what I mean. Mark is buzzing. It's going to be popping off.
Yeah. So tell us a bit more about the show then. So what can people expect? So people to tune in on Posh on Friday, what can we expect then? Because this is the first time I've seen two people selling. Like, are you split screen? What's the situation?
Yeah, so it's Sunday 7 p.m. So basically, say I'm selling something, I'll be here, and then Mark will be up here in a little video box. And then, but like you, James, so if you prefer Mark, right, you can click on that little video box up here, click on it, and make Mark big, and then I'll go small. So basically, yes. Yeah,
people prefer looking at me, and if I really want to, I can just do this, so we can get rid of Michelle for a second. But
yeah, that's what it's going to be like. So basically, just both of us, literally like this. But imagine that we're selling our stock. Like, it's going to be so good. And obviously, it's like quite a different dynamic because I don't sell menswear. I only sell women's wear. So, you know, people will come in just to see Mark and to see the men's stuff. People will come in to see the women's stuff. And then people probably will also just to come in to see what absolute chaos it's going to be.
Yeah, and how it works as well.
Funny. Yeah, it's going to be funny. Yeah, I can't wait.
Amazing. Well, everyone, please go and follow Michelle. Please go and follow her Instagram, her YouTube, and on Posh as well. Her Instagram is pretty funny. She does use captions, I think, in every single Instagram, which is okay, but you could mix it up a little bit. And yeah, I won't reveal what Michelle nearly done yesterday with uploading a certain video that she was meant to send to me, which was a bit of a piss take, funny video, I would say. And she ended up uploading it onto her Instagram and had to quickly delete it. So I wasn't going to chuck you under the bus, but I've got
to. I don't think anyone's seen it. The captions do me dirty, though. The captions cannot understand this accent.
Yeah, because I'm now known as Bold Finds, VINES. Yeah, Bald Vines, that was it. And I get people now message me who actually call me Bald Vines now because of you. So anyway, look, we're rambling on. I just want to say massive thank you, Michelle, for being the first guest on the second channel. Please go like, subscribe, all the usual stuff I normally spill about. And we will see you very soon.
Thanks for having me, James.
Thank you.